Hello everybody and welcome back to another Unreal editor for Fortnite Creative. And what I thought would be kind of cool today is if for the, just real quick, just to show you maybe like an approach to level design. I know I haven't covered this yet in the tutorial series, but I kind of just want to show you in general how you can just create a level. And I'm going to try and keep this video very short. I'm not going to go too much into like the shader graph and lighting and all of this kind of stuff. I'm just going to show you a basic way on how you can just create a cool looking level in an Unreal Editor for Fortnite, just knowing the basics. Okay. All right, so to get started, generally what you would want to do whenever creating a level is you'd want to create some landscape, right? This is going to be the ground for your level, essentially. Now, one very important thing to do in landscape is to make sure that you select a material that you like. So there's 4 different materials that you can choose here. To get to these materials, you just click this button right here. And as you can see, there's 4 material instances I can choose from. And I guess today I'll just go with the jungle one. So you'll just go ahead and select that like that, or you can just drag it up here like this. And as you can see, it's been applied. And then I can hold Control Space to close this. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is just click Create, just like that. And you should now see some landscape. So after you create your landscape, the next thing to do is to go ahead and start to sculpt the landscape. Right now, when it comes to sculpting landscape, one thing you want to keep in mind is you want what I would call a general height map. Right, and I'm just gonna sculpt this as if I was doing like a scene. So I'm not gonna sculpt the entire thing. Let's just take this corner, for example. Okay, so let's just say from here, like out, will just be my level. All right, so all I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna come to the brush size here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start pushing up general parts of the terrain here to create what I would like to call general height. This is one of the most important steps that's oftentimes overlooked. The goal of this is to just create ups and downs in the level, so that way the level isn't completely flat. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect at the start because we do want it to look kind of weird and random to kind of get going, but then we'll refine it as time goes on. So it's not something that you need to have absolutely perfect when you first start the level. But as you can see here, I'm just creating some nice general height, as I like to call it, just to make sure that my level has some movement. Never, ever, ever, ever should you ever have a level that's completely flat, right? Unless you're building inside of like a building or level designing inside of a building, your level is not going to be completely flat 90% of the time. Okay, so now I'm going to just use the smooth tool here to smoothen out some of these peaks. I'm going to go ahead and change the brush size and the tool intensity here to really make sure that these peaks here aren't too much. As you can see, there's kind of a wide peak there, a couple wide peaks here. Just going to smoothen this down a little bit. And yeah, this actually is looking pretty good. Smoothing this down just a bit. I'm also going to use the flatten tool quite a bit here, just flatten some of this out. Smoothing out here on the side. Boom, come here, just flatten out a couple other areas here. Boom, click on the smooth tool. Bam, and that's looking pretty good. Definitely need a nice little start to this, and it already naturally has some foliage, which is something I do like about Unreal. I haven't really covered what foliage is, but as you can see, there's some natural foliage already in this landscape material, which is actually really cool and really dynamic. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and create some parts of the mountainside over here. This will kind of act as like the backdrop for the level, and I'm sure I can find some actual static meshes to really focus on the line of the mountain, but for right now this should be good, just to create a nice little backdrop for my level. And I'm going to go ahead and just sculpt out the sides here, just like that. Boom. And there we have it. I kind of like that a lot. Go ahead, just smoothing out this part here. And that's already starting to look kind of nice. I have a nice little kind of view here of what my scene is going to look like. And already, if there was a camera here, this is actually not looking bad at all. Okay, so next I'm going to come here and create some erosion, and I'm going to turn the tool strength down on this one. This is to just add some fine detail and just make it look like all of this was natural. So erosion, as you know, is probably, as you may know, is essentially when soil is removed by other soil. And you have two types of erosion. You have soil removed by other soil, and you have soil removed by water. And you generally want a nice little mix of both in your level to create a natural look that the landscape was, eroded as it would be in real life. Just going to come here and smoothen this so that the player doesn't fall down through it. And that is looking pretty good. As you can see, I have a nice look to this. Cool. All right, so now that I have my nice little landscape set up here, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and start painting the landscape. So to paint the landscape, I just click over to paint. And as you can see here, they already have some nice default layers already out and created for me. I'm going to go ahead and click, I should be able to click here to create the layer information, but it looks like it's already been created for me, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start blending in some layers here, and to start here, I really think this would be a nice layer to blend with. So I'm going to come here, change the tool strength up just a bit, drag this down, and go ahead and just start trying to sculpt just a touch here of this material, kind of throughout, just kind of touching through here, adding it a little bit, add a little bit of this guy here, kind of on the side, coming out, kind of like that. Boom. Add a little bit of mud here. And go ahead and add that muddy look kind of on the edge of the mountain here. Add a little bit of stone here on the side. Boom. And already I have a lot of depth now to my landscape. This is something that's kind of overlooked a little bit sometimes, is adding like that layer of depth and really trying to add variation in the landscape. You never want it to kind of be completely the same all the way throughout. And now there's a nice little variation kind of through here where essentially it's not all the same. And then I generally like to come back here to the sculpt menu and then just highlight certain areas that I've created by rising them up just a bit. So it kind of makes sense that there would be a little bit of a mountain somewhere. We'll add a little mountain there, smoothing this out just a bit, and then we'll come through here, add just a little bit of a peak here. Yeah, I like that. Boom, and smoothing out here, like that. Smoothing out the back part here, and that is looking pretty good. All right, so next, generally, what you would want to do is you would want to come in and add some foliage. Okay, so what I'm going to come here and I'm going to do is I'm just going to look through here, and we have environments. Let's see what we have. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this large oak tree here, and we're just going to start using this guy here to create some. Technically, this isn't foliage. This would be a material, or excuse me, not a material, a static mesh. But I believe it's a foliage in the way it's created. Nope, it's kind of being saved as a static mesh. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some trees around here, creating a very natural look here. Boom, come through the side. Now, one thing with trees is you don't want them all to be the same size. That's one big thing with trees. Obviously, trees in real life are not all the same size. So you definitely want to, as you can see I'm doing here, vary the heights of the trees little by little. So that way you never get the tree to look the same all the way throughout. No game would ever have anything like that. So don't design your game like that. Make sure all the trees are a little bit different in some way, shape, or form. Okay. All right. I wonder if this material instance is changeable. Nope, I can't edit the cooked asset, unfortunately. All right, so let's look here and add a pine. I'm going to go ahead and scale this pine so it's kind of the same size here. And that way we have multiple different trees throughout the forest and we don't have a singular forest with one tree. That doesn't make sense, right? Should have at least some layers here. The trees aren't too deep in the ground. Needs to still make sense. Cool, cool. All right. Cool. I do like the way this is looking. Okay, let's see what else we can add here. There's so much stuff inside of here, inside of the galleries. Let's see what's in the nature folder. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can find some good rocks. Not a huge fan of that. Let's see if I can find some bushes. There we go. So that's some good bushes. All right, so we'll go ahead and add some bushes throughout. The old classic bush that you would hide in season 1. I know you bush campers are out there. And through. It does look like my camera disconnected. I do apologize for that. It is what it is. I'll still keep recording the video nonetheless. Cool. Now, one really important thing to understand about creating levels is having lots of layers like this. Layering is really one of the most important. Now, I'm not going to go super deep into creating like 15 different layers here because I just don't have the time. But that would be something I would definitely be doing a lot more if I wanted to spend even more time on this, is adding as many layers as possible to try and create a lot of uniqueness inside of the level. Yeah, I think we should also probably add some rocks as well. And there we go. Boom. Cool. All right, I am liking the look of this. So one thing I would also want to add is kind of like a mountain, or like a mountain like object here. And the big reason for that is we definitely want like a backdrop here of like a mountain. And I'm trying to think, I think this would probably go really well with it. Let's see. Yeah, I do like this guy a lot. So let's go ahead and create the backdrop of a mountain using this guy here. And I'm obviously going to combine this with some other meshes. Boom, and I'm going to come here and just rotate this guy like that. Kind of drag this down. Boom, and one of the big things with level design that's not talked about is the line. So in order to create perceived depth, you always want to be focused on this line here. This is how you create like what looks as like depth in the level, and what makes the skyline really pop is always this line here, and really focusing on that and making sure that that looks good, because that's how you create the illusion of like the level continuing on and on forever, is that backdrop of the line. So as you can see, I'm just coming through here, scaling things up and really focusing to make sure that this line is like continuous, so I could draw a straight line all the way throughout and it looks good. Looks pretty good like that. I do like that. I'm going to rotate this guy down a little bit more and maybe even have it like that, so it's kind of got that jagged look, and then maybe move him back on the red axis. Like that, yeah, I do like that. Coming through, let's grab some of the darker here, some of the darker rocks here. Kind of just intermix them in throughout here. So that way we have a little bit of color variation. I think that's super important. I may even just come up kind of like that and do that, so that way it kind of mixes like right there-ish. Yeah. Do kind of like that. Boom. By the way, to duplicate, you just hold Alt and drag, in case you were unaware. Yeah, I know, dude. I'm still recording. I'll be out. I'll look up. Alright, adding a little bit more. Boom. Cool, cool. Alright. I do like the line here a lot. There's some things I can add here to make this a little bit better, but again, I'm not trying to spend too much time designing this level. I've already spent quite a bit of time on it already. Alright, so that looks pretty good there. I would probably model this on the outside as well with some rocks, but I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up here by pushing this up here like this. And that creates a similar effect. Again, it's not the same exactly, but it creates a similar effect here of the level. And I think a nice little house here would go really well right here on the top. I know that they have pre-made houses. I wish they wouldn't give me a massive house set and I could just find a pre-made house somewhere. Here we go. I'm sure there's something in Anarchy Acres I can use. I'll just use this little farmhouse here. Actually, that might be too big. I didn't think about that. I don't want something that big. Here we go. Boom, and then just to give the cottage a place to stay, we're just going to flatten a piece of land here, right there, and then smoothing this guy into it just a hair like that. I'll come here, back into select mode, boom, grab my cottage. Boom. Cool. All right. So there you have it. There's a pretty good level design process. Now the last thing to do is going to be to manipulate the lighting. So to manipulate the lighting, it's a little bit different from Unreal Engine 5. What you're going to do is you're going to come here and you're going to go to the island settings. Right here. And you're going to come down here and you'll be able to manipulate the lighting here. So you can also manipulate the time of day, which is a pretty important one. So let's go ahead and get this to be kind of like sunset hour-ish. Nice, and I think that's a really good position for the sun, especially for this video right there. I think that's a very nice shot. All right, cool. Going back into the island settings, let's go ahead and manipulate some of the options here. Boom, kind of like that. I do believe there are also some options for adding some lighting. Let's see what we get here. I do have a post-process. So they have a couple of post-process options here that you can actually drag in, and they kind of manipulate your scene here. So let's see what we would like to use. It's too much of a post-process for me. It's interesting that they have these pre-compiled. Oh, way too much. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, that's a funny one. Oh, that's a funny one. Let's see here. No, definitely don't want that. Whoa, that's interesting. It's a little too much. I have the ability to edit some of these. Actually, it'd be amazing if I could. Can I edit these? Ooh, that's a game changer. I actually didn't know you could do that. That's really, really good. Awesome for them. Okay. All right, we're gonna get rid of this guy here. I'm gonna go ahead and go with not this guy, the oak. Yeah, all right, so we're gonna head back down into the post process here, and I'm gonna turn down the exposure because man, that's really high. Kind of about there-ish. Now, let's go ahead and get a little bit of the bloom here. Kind of like a little bit more there. Not so much shadow contrast. Kind of more like that. Just a touch of lens flare. I think it's kind of cool looking. That looks pretty good. Okay, the film gradient. I know it's going for that cartoony look, but it's definitely a lot. Cool. All right, and there you have it. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I kind of like the way this came out. This kind of looks pretty, really cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. So there you go. There's just a little bit of level design inside of the Unreal Editor for Fortnite Creative. It has a lot of similar elements to what you would expect inside of Unreal Engine 5, but obviously it's got its own flair to it. So again, if this video helped you in any ways, please like and subscribe as always, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.